Hello and welcome to episode 145 of the Book Wars Pod, and possibly our most special episode yet, because we are thrilled to have with us one of the authors of The Empire Strikes Back from a Certain Point of View, Zoraida Córdova. Thank you so much for joining us, Zoraida.
Thank you for having me.
For those who are not as familiar, Zoraida is the acclaimed author of more than a dozen novels and short stories, including the Brooklyn Brujas series, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, A Crash of Fate, and the recently released The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. In addition to writing novels, she serves on the board of We Need Diverse Books, is the co-editor of the best-selling anthology Vampires Never Get Old, and is the co-host of the writing podcast Deadline City. And she also writes romance novels as Zoe Castile, which we're very excited to ask about in a Star Wars context as well.
I love it.
Amazing. So to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. I am Chris, and joined as always by Rana, Miranda, and Kristen. And let's dive right in. But before we start, as we always do, what are we drinking? Zoraida, would you like to start as the guest of honor?
Yeah, so I'm glad I'm not drinking alone. I kind of was prepared for this. I'm drinking a Cabernet Decoy that I just bought at Trader Joe's.
I love it.
I
Listen,
love
Trader
that one.
Joe's has an excellent wine selection.
It has a duck. It has a duck on it. It's
It
very
has a duck
cute.
on it. Yeah, I had it once and I was like, okay, favorite go-to brand. It's nicely price pointed, and it's $4 less at Trader Joe's than in New York City.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh, things we don't miss about the East Coast.
So
Yeah,
real.
Zoraida's in LA right now, so that was very convenient for us on the
Yep.
as the West Coast contingent.
I came to visit. I went hiking literally 2 days after I arrived, and I didn't check the weather, and I didn't realize it was a heat wave. So that was really smart.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, LA's always in a heat wave, so there's not much you could do to avoid that. Miranda, what are you drinking?
Oh, yeah, you go.
Okay. I am drinking a Kolsch by our friends up at Bowie Beer Company in Astoria. Crisp, soft, and thirst-quenching. Bowie Kolsch weaves the strict, I'm not going to read that word because I don't speak German, with touches of the Pacific Northwest. Heidelberg Pils, Vienna and white wheat malts. It's got opal and sapphire hops. But the end sentences top it off with high carbonation for that satisfying psst.
That's excellent. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
What
Kristen,
are you drinking,
what about you?
Chris? Oh, God damn it. Also, that is one thing I forgot to tell you, Zoraida. This is a cursing-friendly podcast. We have the explicit on the iTunes, so I knew I was forgetting to tell you something. I was like, I forgot to tell her the cursing and the alcohol, but you figured it out, so. It's fresh hop season here in the Pacific Northwest, so I am drinking one of our favorite employee-owned breweries, Breakside, from here in Portland, and it is Fresh Hops IPA. So it's an India Pale Ale brewed with whole cone hops from the 2021 harvest. Literally canned 9/1/21. So it's been. I had one before it. Yeah, I had one before I left for the East Coast, and I think I got it like the first day it was canned, and. You know, fresh hop beers are not my favorite, but every single year they come out, I'm like, oh my God, it's fresh hop season. I have to get all these fresh hop beers. And then I'm like, I don't really like these that much, but then I just drink them and it's fine. It's exciting.
It was
I
very
went to
funny
a hop
when
farm. Yeah, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, when me and Kate recently visited you, you like kept like buying beers and being like, Chris and Kate, I think you would like this IPA, because I have famously said on the pod I don't enjoy IPAs, and you like kept like having me try IPAs, and you're like, I don't really like this one, but I think you might, and it's just like you're just trying to find like correct answers for beers and trying to make us try them all. It was very funny.
There's glasses half full of IPA just littered around the living room.
Yeah. Well,
It's fine.
you know, I'm somebody who likes to expand my palate of alcohol, so
I really like IPAs, but I think it's just like but I think it's probably because I like to learn to like bitter things. That's too many likes in one sentence, but I grew to like the taste of bitter things, like coffee without sugar and milk. And so then I was just like, yeah, I'll just have an IPA. But I've recently started trying more other kinds of beers, and I'm like, now everything else tastes like water.
tastes really sweet too. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
right there with you.
That happened to me the first time I came out to Portland in college. I had like 2 or 3 days worth of actually being able to do things and just IPAs for days. I went back east and I'm in DC. I'm like, oh, I'll buy some Blue Moon, like something light, something easy. And I was like, this doesn't have flavor.
Yeah, something with a nice commercial,
Yeah.
nice stop motion commercials from Blue Moon.
So true.
That's why I'm always surprised when East Coast transplants are always Miss Yingling. I'm like, I don't
It's
understand.
fucking delicious.
Okay,
don't
it's like
understand
it's good
You do
cheap
not
beer. Just
say
the
that
loy-
in this
like,
house.
let me-
I respect the loyalty. I'm missing something.
It doesn't matter. Rana, what are you drinking?
Well, I was gonna say the CEO of Yingling is an asshole, so I.
Oh,
I
no.
That's true. I
Oh,
didn't
that
feel
is
bad
true.
about.
But I'm
That
not
is
judging
true.
us. It's cool. I definitely have, placed my order of things on Amazon in my life. I'm drinking a Dry Dock Blood Orange Blonde. I think I've talked on the pod before about my love of blood oranges. Also, I'm ready for it to be cold. It's not cold. It's not LA heat wave hot, but it's 90 degrees, or it was today. So I'm trying to get all my summer beer out of my system. So yeah, it has almost no description, but it has a very pretty can with like a jellyfish. It is 5.2%, and it's just a nice summery, like crisp blood orange beer thing. I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah. On to you, Chris.
I wanted beer, but I don't have any. I'm fresh out of summery beers, and the only beer in my fridge is a churro flavored stout, which is delicious, but not as much on a day that was 90 degrees. So I'll save that for another episode. I'm drinking scotch, much noted as a warm weather drink. Clearly, I'm drinking Glenfiddich, which is delicious as
Oh,
always.
Nice.
I was staring at the whiskeys today because I was like, then I had that thought, it's too hot. It's too hot for this.
It'll be
No,
time
it
for like
definitely it's a little warm. Like it's like there's never a bad time, but it's
it'll
a
be
little warm.
time soon for like fireside whiskey based drinks or brandy based or bourbon based drinks. I love that time of year. Like, oh, so good. So good.
Yeah, the like 4 weeks of fall before, like after it's too hot and before it starts snowing. Just
I like,
perfect.
yeah, any of it. But when you have like an old fashioned and it's snowing outside and it's like a little bit cold, but you're warming up your insides with alcohol. I know it's not physiologically accurate, but it feels that way. I love it.
Shit, I
Absolutely.
just drink whiskey year round.
I mean, here we are.
Not right now because I have to buy some, but
Same.
All right. Well, let's just dive right in and talk about From a Certain Point of View. And for those who don't remember, Zoraida's story in From a Certain Point of View, The Empire Strikes Back, was Wait For It, about everyone's favorite newly revived bounty hunter, Boba Fett. And Zoraida, what made you choose Boba Fett? Why did you gravitate toward him?
I love Boba Fett, but I loved him more after I watched the entirety of the Clone Wars, and it added another layer to me about his character. Um, and another reason, like the most basic reason, is that when I looked at the list of who had taken what character, I saw nobody had chosen him, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And so he was available. And I came in toward the end of the anthology, so there were a lot of it had already been solidified. So if you're gonna have like, I can't believe like Boba Fett was a last draft pick or whatever.
That's That is kind of shocking, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I was blown. You know what? It was meant to be.
Exactly. That's like when you're like flying Southwest and somebody didn't take like the first row seat because they're like, this is too easy. And then so you're like last on the plane and it's right there. That's just what I immediately thought of because that happened to me last week and it was a highlight.
Wow. Nice. Yeah, and I think that, now that we're watching, like, we watched Star Wars after all of this other content has come out, and for me, it was just, I just really wanted to go back in and fill in those blanks that we might have had upon a first watch of that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was it about Clone Wars Boba Fett that made you appreciate him as a character? I have very strong feelings about him, but I assume that is not something that everybody shares.
I think that it was, I'm a young adult author by trade, I guess. That's where I started in my career. My very first novel was about a broy teenage merman. Those books are out of print for a reason. It's fine. Uh, and so watching that character, watching Boba Fett in the Clone Wars, he was just this angry, like this ball of anger, and he has a right to be angry because he's left alone, and it's the fault of the Jedi. Um, and and so what does he do after this, right? He gets adopted by all of these people who are technically not his family, but Star Wars is about found family in so many ways. Um, but I think I was, as a young adult author, I was attracted to his anger.
I love it. He was definitely that arc of the Clone Wars was definitely like almost a precursor to in the last season the arc with Ahsoka and the Martez sisters and how Luminara was like, "Oh, I'm sorry that like the Jedi's operations killed your family, but the Force will make it all okay." Like, no, like these are we are real people that exist outside of just the world of the Force, and so like I always love having the viewpoint of people who aren't as connected with the Force and aren't as interested in the mysticism aspect to say like there are real world consequences to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the fruit stand vendors in action movies. It's like, oh, you've got cool shit going on, but you just ruined my entire life, sir.
My cabbages, etc.
Have you guys watched The Boys on Amazon Prime?
Yes.
Yeah, right. It's like the vigilante origin story for Dennis Quaid's son. I forget his name.
Huey, I think his character's name is.
Huey. Yeah, it's like this. Oops, the heroes are doing stuff. They killed my girlfriend. Now I'm gonna destroy them.
Yeah, I always like that. I mean, I think that's part of the appeal of these, from a certain point of view, books, right? Is that I was just saying on our wrap up pod how I want to watch it now and like imagine all these side characters crawling through the background scenes and like that person walking down a hallway.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the fun of it is then like inserting them in later and rewatching it, and now it adds a whole new perspective or like dozens of perspectives with the short stories.
So looking at Boba going forward, obviously, had we recorded a year ago, this would be a very different question. But now that we know that Boba Fett is in fact still alive, has survived the Sarlacc, and is getting his own Disney Plus series, as a Boba fan, what are your hopes and dreams for the Book of Boba Fett?
Oh my God. I'm just excited for these two characters to have their own TV show and to be revived in this way. And I feel like, there's been so much myth around what happened to Boba Fett for so long, that now that we have answers, I kind of want him, to be this like Tatooine benevolent kingpin sort of.
So the opposite of Boba Fett as a child.
I'm here for that story. Like, I don't know. I know that Boba Fett is a controversial character, but I grew up I guess it's not that I grew up like that character, but my dad and I always bonded over that character, and so I am totally here for like Boba Fett just living his best life in the Book of Boba, and I don't even care if it's got good. I just want to see it. I want to see like a good life for him. I feel bad.
It'll
Yeah.
definitely. I'm super interested because, like, yeah, you do have this like this obviously this like 5 year or whatever it is gap between the last time we saw him and now, and so like what like presumably what he wanted 5 years ago pre Sarlacc is not the same thing that he wants now. So I'm super interested to see what his motivations are going to be, in the show.
Yeah, and I don't know how long he spent in the Sarlacc, but I feel like he does deserve good things after being inside for an unidentified amount of time.
It's the like he was in the literal belly of the whale, right? And that if you're looking at the hero's journey, right? So who is he now? And that's what I'm excited to find out because he's just reinventing himself again.
Absolutely. Amazing. And also, obviously, there have been FACPOV books for A New Hope as well as Empire Strikes Back. For those who didn't read it, Zoraida's story, You Owe Me a Ride, about Brea and Seni Tonica in the original FACPOV book is also wonderful. Obviously, like, it's hard to talk about future things because they may or may not be in development or whatnot, but if there is a FACPOV for Return of the Jedi, are there any characters or storylines that you would love to work with?
I actually think about this in the back of my mind and I haven't decided yet. I'm like, obviously an Ewok, right? But so when I was a kid, this is how desperate I was for like representation. Um, the Ewoks in their own like language, when they walk around, I remember watching this as a little kid, they say at least it sounds like they say like chucha, and chucha it means fuck in Ecuadorian Spanish, right? Like um and so my mom was like, they said this, they are Ecuadorian, and I'm like, yes, mom, these space bears are definitely Ecuadorian. And so it was just, I feel very tied to that, but I don't know which Ewok I would choose. Or if I would choose a completely different character. But I love these anthologies so much. They're incredibly fun. They bring a ton to like supplementary information to the world. So I'm still thinking on it. Is the actual answer?
I just want to say I love that because native people do that too with the Ewoks, and we'll be like, oh, obviously the Ewoks are native. Like, they're called Ewoks after the Miwoks. They're native. Like, I just love, I mean, it's sad that that's what you have to do. But
We're so
also, I love
desperate.
that everyone does it.
Yep.
Not trying to battle over whose people they really belong to. I know it's fake
Look.
and in space, but I just thought it was so funny.
They belong to all of us. It's fine.
Listen,
We
I
all
just
know-
learned that Star Wars was not safe for children.
Yeah. I love it. That's honestly like my new favorite fun fact, and that I'm gonna think about that every time I watch Return of the Jedi about the foul-mouthed Ewoks. I love it. So thinking about like your writing process, how is writing for IPs like Star Wars different from doing original works?
In many ways, my process is the same. I outline, I agonize, and then I write. And but the difference is I've written IP that is not for Star Wars, so I've written just other intellectual property for a publisher, and I've had more creative liberty and creative freedom working for Star Wars than for some other companies that have no existing properties, which is mind-boggling to me. And I've said this to them before, and they also look at me like, "Are you serious? Are you just like yanking our chain?" And I'm like, "No, no, no. I swear." And so I think that the creative freedom is really just the ability to have collaboration with somebody. And so the only difference between my original work and my Star Wars work is that I have I have a group of people that I have to go to and say, "Is this okay?" And I think that the team at Lucasfilm Publishing really just wants to create things that are new and different. And so they retain a more open mind about how we're writing about the galaxy. Um, and so that part is really encouraging as a creative person writing for them. So yeah, I think that the biggest thing that changes is the anxiety of things that Lucasfilm can't control and I can't control, which is uh, what are readers going to think about it, right? Is somebody just going to be like, oh my God, you're a poser. You don't know what like this piece in the starship is called or whatever. um, and so it's really just external anxieties that are different.
So with the collaboration internally, like within Lucasfilm and all the various publishing aspects of that, like what does the collaboration look like? Is it something that you really kind of hone in on for these anthologies?
So for the anthology, I give them a rough outline. This is what I want to focus in, and they'll come back with questions. Which characters are there? And that's really for the anthology. It's like a concert, right? It's an orchestra. Everybody. It just so happened that my story, I got rid of one of the bounty hunters at just the right time to match with somebody else's bounty hunter story. And I was like, and we didn't plan this. So when I say that these anthologies feel very like they're in harmony, I'm being very honest. And so I get notes from two editors, um, from Del Rey and Jen Heddle at the Disney side of Lucasfilm Publishing, and then we get the story group comments after that. So it's just the revisions just come in rounds, and a lot of it is technical, or this this is how you make this work. This is how you make this is how a planet, how you should refer to a planet or something like that. So it's really just like the technical aspects of it.
I'm trying to think of how you would refer to a planet now.
Like the species
Well,
on it or something.
Yeah. So I guess in my YA novel, what's my title? A Crash of Fate. I kept referring to Naboo, and I got a note that say like, we refer to this like we don't have to refer, like you can make up your own planet, like and so so and that was the moment I was like, I can make up my own planet. Awesome. And so then I went a little crazy.
Yeah,
And we're so glad you did.
Correct. If you want our thoughts on the aforementioned book, which the name I definitely remember,
A Crash of Fate,
A Crash
Miranda.
of Fate, thank you. That we covered that on episodes 128 through 130.
I was really,
Very
I
nice.
was looking
You don't
forward
have
to
to
seeing if
listen.
you like knew the episode numbers, because like you couldn't remember the title, which is right there in our show notes that we're working on, which is right next to the episode numbers. I was like, this is going to be a fun journey.
And I'll say that's more like a reminder for listeners than it is for you, Zoraida. I promise we don't need you to listen. I mean, if you want
Oh
to,
no,
Jeff,
no.
but-
It's fine. I don't read reviews. I probably don't listen to podcasts about my books either. It's fine.
Good.
Good.
So this is obviously a really broad question considering it's literally an infinite space. But do you have a dream Star Wars book, like timeline, character, planet where you would want to write, or that you just want to read and you don't want to have to, actually put to paper?
So for writing, I think that I would love to write a sequel to A Crash of Fate, at the because they're making more theme park. So I feel like it would just work. And to stay in this new space. But as a reader, I just really want to read. I really want to read more young Obi-Wan by Claudia Gray, obviously. Um, and I just kind of want to read like, I don't know how you guys feel about Kylo and Rey, but I kind of want to read like more of their the very short amount of time that they had together. Or just like Kylo Ren's diaries, right? Because he has a diary. You know it.
He
what is-
absolutely has it. It has a lock on it for sure.
What does he
It
call his
definitely has
diary
like
when he
cursive
writes
writing and
Dear
Yeah.
Diary?
Yeah, dear diary. There's a meme of Drake, right? The Mellow Diary.
Yeah.
And it's literally that.
Now, yeah, we really need Kylo's diary. I would also, as someone who is not, I don't personally ship Kylo and Rey, but I would love to read that book as well. I think it would be interesting just to get some more like background in
Perspective.
their
We didn't have.
relationship.
I know, we just didn't spend enough time with them, and yeah.
See, yeah, no, I'm just thinking about Claudia Gray writing like a young Obi-Wan novel, and all I can think about is Satine dying.
Why'd you have to bring it there?
It was
God.
gonna go there, no matter what.
Right, of course. Hmm.
That's
Ugh.
true. Yeah, and
I'm
then it would
sorry,
fulfill
but-
the angst need that you mentioned earlier, right? Of like the young adult angst. We've all been there.
We'd all be very
Yeah.
sad.
So sad.
I wish who knows if we'll get it, because I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what ground Obi-Wan Kenobi the show is going to cover, but like, I hope we get that. I know she's talked about like really wanting to write that, to work on it, and so I hope we get that. The readers demand it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I don't know if I demand it. That seems a little.
The readers respectfully request it.
That
Yeah, we're not
sounds
those Star
better.
Wars
It's like-
fans.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
also I'm not demanding things, but I also don't know how much I want to be hurt by another book.
Yeah, it's fair.
Claudia and I were at Celsius. I forgot the number, but it's Fahrenheit 450. You know, it's a festival in Spain called Celsius Number, and we were on a Star Wars panel together. And every time we're together, I just sort of remind her, and I'm like, "This is what you did in Lost Stars," and she just sort of like chuckles and is like, "Oh yeah." But I never let her forget that this is what she did to my feelings.
I thank you for doing that work for all of us in making sure that she remembers.
It's the people's work.
Uh-huh.
That's how I felt when I thought that Izzy left Jules behind at the end of Crash of Fate. But thankfully, we were okay. Thankfully, this didn't have to be an acrimonious call
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah. I
Um,
love happily ever afters as a romance writer, so they actually gave me the option. They said, you know, you can, it doesn't have to end happily, and I to myself I said, what? Oh, right. None of the Star Wars endings have the HEA correct. Okay.
Yeah, Star Wars, notably a very positive, very happy kind of situation. Everybody wins the Super Bowl in space.
Star Wars. It's
What
all
is
about
happening?
I don't
Star,
know.
like Star Wars. It's all
Happy
about hope.
endings.
It's all about hope, except when it's not.
yeah. It's all about hope
Except for when
it's not there.
except for when everyone's parents are just dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Speaking of you being a romance writer and loving happily ever afters, potentially our most important question from Kate, our other co-host, who wanted to ask you this question: what would Zoe Castile write for Star Wars?
Oh my God. Zoe Castile would write the marriage of Anakin Skywalker and Padme. Like, that's what Zoe would write. Because it's so, like, I haven't read the YA Padmes, but I don't know if that's in there. But I would write that. I would also, I don't know how old Obi-Wan is when he meets Satine. Can somebody answer that?
I have no idea.
Chris.
Probably,
I don't remember
Chris,
how
why
old he
don't
is.
you
probably
know?
over 18. Probably 18, 19. Like,
Yeah, okay, yeah, then I can do that.
I saw where you were going with that question. I'm like, we're
Yeah.
gonna say it's okay.
Yeah. I'm like, probably he's 12.
Something
No,
definitely happened there.
Yeah.
So.
something definitely
I'll count
happened
it.
there. I'd probably never be allowed, but I'd probably write a Raylo or something like that. And I don't know. I think that we miss a lot of the complicated parts of Han and Leia. Like, we don't get to see them. We get to see them a little bit in Bloodlines. And I love the detail that Claudia put in about how Han like sort of changed. He like retrofitted the Millennium Falcon just to make it like homier for her. But yeah, more of that, I think.
I love it. That's like a good balance of like, very soft, like, oh, like these like older people just living their lives, and then what we presume the Obi-Wan Satine book would be.
Oh, I was going to go to Chaos Anakin.
That too. He is my favorite precious chaotic raccoon. He's just the best.
Truly.
I just want an extended scene of the pears. That's what I want.
Oh no, I hate that. Scene makes me so uncomfortable. I hate it so much.
How many different fruits can you cut with the Force?
The limit does not
Ninja.
exist. Infinity amount. Infinity amount.
Yeah, that's one I might not watch, but
Oh, no. I'd watch the hell out of that.
I guess eventually I'd have to watch it.
We love Attack of the Clones. And this, my apartment.
Oh, also we'd be remiss if we didn't plug the Padme books, the YA
Yes,
Padme
they
books,
are fantastic. They're
which
good.
we
I
have
don't-
covered on the podcast, and they're very, very good.
Yeah.
We
And
have
there's a
not
new
seen
one
any
coming out
Anakin.
soon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rana.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying the last one is coming out soon.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
going to say the first two have not covered Anakin and Padme's relationship, but I know that Queen's Hope will, and I'm very excited about that. Again, because my precious trash panda baby, but also I'm very excited to see Kate Johnston's take on him, because I know that, like, as someone who loves Padme and like feels correctly, in my opinion, that she was done kind of dirty by the prequels and just the lack of characterization of their relationship, I'm very excited to see what she does with it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I did tell my tattoo artist about you must read the the Padme series.
I love it.
Like before you got a tattoo, or just like casually
during.
chatting? Okay,
Oh,
I didn't know if
yeah.
it was like a prerequisite to making the tattoo.
No, yes, my notably non-Padme tattoo. We had a deep conversation. No, I mean, she's a fan. Like we're talking about the Thrawn books, and she had some cool like Thrawn fan art up, and it was relevant to the setting. Was that, I don't know
Yeah,
if
I'm
that's
just
the word.
mean. So I'm sorry. I probably seem like such an asshole. I don't know. I need to not be this way. It's all good.
I don't
No,
know,
Burp. That's a reasonable thing to talk about.
but
I just find that
Oh.
funny because you and your non-Star Wars tattoo talking about the Star Wars books and Padme, me and my entire Star Wars half sleeve notably did not talk about Star Wars while I was getting inked, because like the artist, brilliant artist, did an incredible job. Kind of bro-y, and it was around when Last Jedi was coming out, and I was like, I just don't want to have this conversation. Like,
nope.
Yeah.
That's probably for the best.
yeah.
I
Never-
would like a Star Wars tattoo. I've thought about it for a very long time on what I would get. And I'm still deliberating. I'm a baby when it comes to pain, but I just got a tattoo based on my my latest adult book, The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina, which, Chris, excellent pronunciation. Thank you.
Thank you. Credit to Rana as well for kind of doing. I definitely copied her pronunciation before we started, so thank you,
Good.
Rana.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Taking
I've done a lot of
Ron's
events.
work.
I've done a lot of events this week, and it's always been like, what's your name? What's your character? It's been a long week.
Fair. I know the with Eve, despite only having 4 letters in my name, I know the no one says it right struggle. So, I have a question for you. Are there any authors who either have not written much in Star Wars or who are very up and coming who you'd like to see Star Wars content from?
I would love to see more of Tracy Dion. She wrote Legendborn, and Legendborn is one of the best books that I read last year. It had such a phenomenal, like, by the time I got to the last 100 pages, I didn't do anything but listen to the audiobook, because usually I clean and listen to the audiobook. But so Tracy Dion would be one of them. Alexis Daria, who's a romance author, but she's a huge nerd. We used to bump into each other at conventions all the time, and she just loves fandom, and I think she really understands how much these stories mean to fans. And so I would love to see her in the Star Wars universe as well.
Awesome. Thank you. I knew you'd have some good ones. Yeah, Tracy Dion, at least I'm familiar with, and I totally agree. I will have to look up. I entered little new tabs, so I will definitely have to look up Alexis Daria. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Well, now we have just before we wrap up, a few rapid fire Galaxy Far, Far Away questions. Starting with, I feel like the quintessential Star Wars question: what color would your lightsaber be?
Pink.
Love it.
I was trying to be like, okay, this can I say rose so I sound fancier? I don't know. I'll just go with pink.
No, it's rose. We love it. It's perfect.
This is not Knights of the Old Republic. You have more than 3 options.
Right?
That is a nerdy
And
comment.
I
Thanks
was
for coming to the Star Wars pod.
literally thinking about this today because I saw the new covers for the High Republic books and for Daniel and Claudia's books, and I was like, what color would my lightsaber be? So I've been thinking about this all day.
Perfect.
What is your favorite existing planet in the galaxy far, far away? This is do you like sand question.
Right. Do you like sand? I do. I love the beach. I do, absolutely. I'm trying to think, like, which cool planets. I like Naboo, and you know why? Because I was just in Spain, and I was in the Plaza de España, where they filmed a scene, and I was like, yep, I'm gonna have my moment here.
Is there like a kind of planet that you think we need to or that you, I guess, want to see more? Like, obviously we have sand and sad. We've got water on like 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, you're right. I should have gone for a water planet. Yeah.
There's a fire one.
There's a fire one. There's a sad there's a couple of sad industrial complex ones.
Mm-hmm. Corellia, all of those.
Yeah.
So, like, what kind of planet I think we're missing?
Or like if there's, this is gonna be words.
I think potentially what Miranda meant from our discussion beforehand is, like, if you were to add a new planet to the galaxy, what, like, sort of, like, environment, like, situation would it be? Like,
What Chris said.
I think I would probably do, I mean, so I think I would do the Andes, obviously, because I'm from Ecuador and Latin American, but I think that the Andes have such a range, because it's a mountain range. You're welcome. Of these beautiful scapes in Peru, they have these like rainbow mountains where everything's like the colors have such this beautiful gradient. If you go up to Bolivia, which is no longer the Andes, but there are like salt flats which are incredible. So I think like something like that would be really cool. I would also really like to see something that plays with different types of gravity.
ooh, interesting.
So that they're not using like, okay, we're putting on the gravity in the ship, and like here in this base, right? Like I just want to, like, it would be interesting to see something like that.
I don't know if we're allowed to plug non-Star Wars content, but when you were talking about that, it made me think of Rebecca Roanhorse's Black Sun book and then that trilogy. Okay,
I'm
wanted to like
obsessed
make
with
sure.
Rebecca.
Yes, me too. It's fair.
The way that I make friends is I'm just like, I just walk up to people at conventions and I'm like, hi, we're friends now. And so I did that to her at Sirens in Vail or somewhere in Colorado, somewhere where the altitude really messed me up. And I was like, are you Rebecca Roanhorse? I'm your friend now. And she was like, who are you? But she gave me an arc. So, and now we're friends. I won't let her go.
That's delightful.
I love hearing that. That makes my heart very happy.
Oh God! If only we had a certain...
Extrovert authors have to collect the introvert authors. That's the rule in publishing.
That's the story of this podcast.
Yeah,
I was going to say that's the story of this podcast. That's how I made Miranda be my friend. I said, "Hello, you're part of the friend group now.
Very cool.
Welcome, welcome
like
here. Here's my phone number. Call me if you need help."
Escaping the friend group. No.
Yeah.
No, I was 18. I was like useless. But it's okay because now we have a podcast.
Look how far we've come.
So this is a really like random question, but do you want to have in the Star Wars universe, would you have a space pet? And if you would, what would it be? There's a million options here, but space pets.
I'm gonna be embarrassed. I just forgot the name of the birds, with the really long tails. Corv something.
Snipes.
Hold on.
Like real world or like Star Wars?
Wait, are we talking about Star Wars pets
Yes.
or real pets?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like,
Oh, sorry.
I heard,
sorry. Go on.
no, not on you. No, not on you. And I heard snipes. I was like, oh. Not blaming that on Burb. It's a Mohawk problem.
Convor.
It's
It's a
fine.
convor.
Oh
The
yeah.
convors. They're like these elegant owls, and they have tails. I'm pretty sure they have tails.
Where do
Yeah,
they
I think so.
I couldn't remember what you're talking about, and they're so
Yeah,
cute.
they have
I just
tails.
looked them up.
They have
My
tails.
heart. Look at their lashes.
Have I seen this bird before?
No,
so
Miranda, you're not
cute.
invited
Yes,
to this
Miranda, you've watched
conversation
Clone
'cause-
Wars.
Asks.
Oh.
You haven't watched Rebels though, famously.
I
So.
am in the 4th season, okay?
Uh-huh.
I think they're apparently named after Filoni's wife, Ian Convery.
Oh.
That's adorable and very Filoni.
Star Wars.
Yeah. I was like, I thought they were named after condors for a second, like, I
That's
was like,
what I thought you were doing. Yeah.
condor, corvid, but no, this is more romantic, and I'm all about it. So yeah, so I would probably have a bird, or the easy answer is obviously a porg, because they're adorable, and I would have an internal conflict on whether or not to roast one.
That's why you get 2.
Yes, there you go. Oh my god.
Sorry, I'm trying to look at this
Brutal.
bird.
I'll be too traumatized to leave after that.
I know. Yeah, so I think Star Wars. I love the Star Wars animals. There's so many. When I was working on A Crash of Fate, I would just constantly peer back to one of the guides, because they sent me a bunch of the like the ones that Pablo works on, right? The Star Wars guides that have all the information, everything you need to know about Star Wars. And and so I would look at all of the creatures, and like there's so many creatures, because there's obviously a pet stall at Galaxy's Edge. And so these are the things I think about. What lightsaber would I have, and what pet would be my Star Wars pet?
It's the most important pair of questions that
Obviously.
you could consider.
I just want us to get to the point as a society where like science will let us create these Star Wars creatures for ourselves.
Oh, I feel like we'll probably go in that direction, like some cursed, maybe Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos will get like, or one of their clones or robots, versions will probably like create a pet agency where it's like, let's manufacture some unicorns and do that, and then have like mini unicorns.
Oh my god, cursed indeed, but you're so right.
That's so cursed.
I love it.
Creatures from legend, we are making them.
I would just want like a little porg. Or if they could create a friendly Ewok that wouldn't kill me.
Yeah, that's the problem. I would never turn out the lights in my apartment if I had an Ewok.
Oh god, no. Luckily, I think one of my lamps is like haunted, so
You're
Is that
you're
gonna
set
help
then.
you?
You're ready to live with an Ewok.
well, the light's not gonna be off. I mean, I'm very weak. The Ewok would still just wreck me, but
I thought the haunted light would like team up with the Ewok, and
could be.
I've seen too many movies lately. I apologize.
Also, I have a cat. Like it'd be game over.
Yeah, the cat would. I mean, cats never take your side. They would absolutely team up with the Ewok.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well, Zoraida, thank you so much for joining us. Before we drop off, do you have anything you would like to plug for our listeners?
I don't have anything Star Wars related, but I do have an adult magical realism novel, which some people are calling practical magic-ish, meets 100 Years of Solitude, or 100 Years of Solitude meets Stardust. And so that's my latest release.
Awesome. Everybody go check that out. The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. I did it okay again, right? Okay, excellent. Everybody go check that out at your local bookstore. And thank you for listening to this very special episode of the Book Wars Pod. Next episode, we are finally going to be starting the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy with Chaos Rising by Timothy Zahn, reading through chapter 5, if you want to read along with us. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at BookWarsPod. Email us, bookwarspod@gmail.com, or find us on the Tashi Station Radio Patreon Slack. And, excuse me, if you have the means, please donate to the orgs that we support. And if you want to give to us after giving to people who need it more, you can donate to the Tashi Station Radio Patreon, or give us coffee at ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. And we will continue to keep the content of all our pets, Argos, Cerberus, Jasper, Orca, and Tony, all coming for y'all in these troubled times. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joby Terra Design, and our audio and production are done, as always, by our very own Kristen McDonald. Once again, thank you so much, Zoraida, for joining us. We absolutely loved having you, and if you aren't running, screaming to the hills, we would love to have you back anytime you want.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
For Miranda, Rana, Kristen, Kate, I am Chris, and thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. Miranda, are you not going to ask your follow-up question here on the outline that I gave you shit about?
I'm trying to see if I can make it into, like, a coherent question.
I have faith in you.
Thank you. Oh, God, and I'm not going to use the word flavor, even though I just said it.